Hey, hey, Facebook land. Debbie Stroud here. It is 11:11, and I am so glad to be with you here. If you're jumping on, please give me a shout out. I want to know where you're from. I want to know who you are. I want to know all about you, where you are coming in from. So, yeah, who you are, where you're from, and if you're catching this on the replay, I would like for you to comment anyway, replay, and then leave a comment, replay. So I'll know that you're watching the replay and not the live event. So why am I here? Well, I'm here because I'm living proof that the cards can be redealt. And I'm going to show you here in just a little bit my creative practice that I use every single day. And I don't understand why I cannot see who is coming on. Give me just a second. So I'm going to show you in my creative practice that I use every single day what goes on and how I make the shift for me. I use art as a portal of manifestation. I use art as a portal of changing my thinking and switching things around. So I'm going to put my glasses on here. Hey, hey, Jason McLean is here and somebody else is here, maybe Pamela. So, one of the things that I really talk about is getting straight on your story and getting clear on what you want to create in your life. Because here's the thing, you can create whatever you want in your life, whatever you desire in your life, if you believe you can. That's the first thing. Yesterday on my Facebook Live, I came on and I talked a little bit about manifesting. And I think I'm going to go into that in just a second. But in today's world, especially in the past year, since 2020 has started, what even is that, right? Since 2020 has started, so many people are living in fear. They're living in anxiety. They're living in the what ifs. They're living in the could haves and the should haves instead of living in the present moment. How do we live in the present moment? Well, one of the things we do is get back in our head. So many people live life and they're so busy with everything that they're not in their head. They're out, they're already into next week, they're already into 2 days later, they're already to dinner tonight. They're not hardly ever in the present moment. So I want to take this time to just show you how I shift myself and how I get into the present moment and how I've used my creative practice to really take my power back. I didn't even know that I had power in the first place. I didn't even know that I could take it back or that I could use it. But I'm going to show you all of that. So let's get started, right? I'm going to put my camera down so you can see, put on my readers so I can see, and I'm going to show you my journal book. So I create all kinds of things in my journal, and I hope that you can see this. I'm going to show you some of my things. Let me turn this around so you guys can see it because I know it's upside down. So this is my journal, and this is what I do, and it's been an ongoing process. I keep a journal for everything that I journal here about my fears. I journal about things that I want to manifest in my life. Sometimes I paint, sometimes I draw. Sometimes it's really in depth, and sometimes it is not, right? And sometimes I paint things and I draw things and I doodle a lot. Here's the thing about this whole process. Nothing ever has to be perfect. It's all about the process. It's not about the product, which is a really different thing for a lot of people. Because as artists, I know a lot of artists who are professional artists, and we are really all trained to get to the product, right? Look at this. This is a journal page that I've started. I've scribbled all over it. I've done different layers, and I've done a lot of different things. I have not finished this. I don't know, maybe I have. It's all about learning to trust, right? I'll probably come back to this later. I have no idea what I'm going to do with that. I think I have one more page in here that I want to show you. So yeah, this is a journal page that I did not too long ago. So here's what I do. First, I start by really getting into my body and really thinking about facing the things that are blocking you. How do we know what's blocking us? Well, let's think about the things that you think about all of the time. So let's number, if you're going to paint with me, or if you're going to do this with me, or even if you're not, I just want you to jot down a few things on your paper. Jot down maybe what you're afraid of, or 3 things that you worry about. Let's go with that. Let's go with 3 things that you worry about the most. Okay. I'm going to turn this around so I can draw, and then I'll turn it back around for you. So I'm going to say, what are 3 things that I fear the most, or things that I am afraid of? I can't really say that I'm afraid of anything, but things that I think about a lot. Let me go back to the way I was probably 6 months ago. So I would be afraid of money, not having enough. So I'm just going to write that down, because there's so much power in the written word and in the spoken word. So I may even want to draw dollar signs. This is not about product, right? This is about the process of realizing that you have creative power and knowing how to wield it. So not enough money. There was a time when I was really afraid of being alone. That was a real fear of mine. Not any longer, because I've switched it. I've rewritten my story and I've redealt my cards. But at one time in my life, that was a real, real fear. Hey, Mary. Hey, Teresa. I'm waving at y'all. So I've got money, not enough money. I've got being alone. And I used to have this real fear of being too much, because I'm an extrovert. And so, okay, I feel I'm too much. And at the same time, I felt like I was not enough. What a paradox, right? I feel like I'm too much, but at times, not enough. The thing about making love to the resistance, the thing about resisting the emotions that hold us back, are the stories that we play over and over and over in our minds become our reality. Whether you know that or not, it is true. Think about the things that you think about all of the time. Think about things that you are anxious about. And by the way, anxiety is a fear of the future with the worry that it's going to be a negative outcome, right? So when we're thinking about all of those things and we're playing them around in our mind, we're playing them around and we keep thinking those things. Example. So back when I first became an online entrepreneur, I put out a program, and it was kind of a Vision Quest like program. And man, I was just all into it. I was so excited, and I wanted to change the world, which is still kind of how I am today. But this was a couple of years ago. And so I had this thing playing around in my head, because I had all these fears that I was not enough and I was too much because I was an extrovert and a lot of people couldn't take me. And I wanted to lead all of these people on this vision quest to change my life. All these stories kept coming up in my head, and I'm sure that you can relate to this. Stories like, oh my God, I just said too much, and these people are going to think I'm so freaky. Or I've put all of this work into this process, and I've put all this work into this stuff, and nobody's going to sign up. And I just kept thinking and thinking that nobody's going to sign up. Why am I even doing this? Nobody's going to sign up. The stories you tell yourself become your reality. So let me put it to you this way. Think of a thing that you're really worried about right now and that you've been anxious about. Take just a second to get that in your mind and really start to think about it. Really start to think about that. So think, what is it? And you're thinking about it. And right now you're replaying that scenario. You're replaying that story in your mind. Okay, so stop and immediately say your phone number backwards. What? Be with me. Say your phone number backwards. 1672. I'm doing it with you too. And when you do that, you interrupt the pattern. And when you interrupt the pattern, now you have a choice. You have a choice to stay in that same lane or to change lanes. You have a choice to keep replaying that story in your head or change the story. What if it goes wrong? What if it goes wrong? Well, what if it goes right? Change that story. Interrupt that pattern. By interrupting that pattern, you have a choice in that moment. Most people don't ever know that they have a choice. And I can remember the very first day that somebody said to me, make it a good day. I was having a crappy day. It was horrible. And this person looked at me and said, make it a good day. What the heck are you saying to me? First of all, I always thought that my day was dictated by the events that happened in my life and I had no control. You have more power in your pinky finger to control and manifest the life that you want. So let's get back to the creativity. I'm going to put my thing back down. Okay. I've got 3 things here that I'm really worried about, or I used to be really worried about. I'm not as worried about them now. Hey, Nepal. Hey, Margaret Martin. I love that name. I'm waving at y'all. So I've got, oh my gosh, not enough money. I don't want to be alone. Or I didn't want to be alone. And I felt like I was too much. I felt like at times I was just too much. Okay? So here's what we do in this creative process. We're going to cover this up. I've got some paint here. If you're going to paint with me, use whatever you have. You can take a Crayola marker and cover over this thing, and a really cool thing you can do with a Crayola, I'll do this on the next one. Really cool thing you can do with a Crayola marker is because they are water-based, you can use them and turn them into watercolor. Can you see how I just put some paint right here on the page? I'm not using a palette. I'm just putting paint on a page. I'm going to use a dry brush. This is really important, using a dry brush. We don't want to make this paper wet because we want this to dry really super quick. All right, so I'm going to take some of this and I'm going to put it over here. And I'm just going to start to scrub. You hear that noise? There are many things when I teach high school, I tell my students to use their senses, right? You can use your senses in art to tell if you're doing things right. Like when we made a print, I would show them how to use the brayer and roll it on the page. And one of the things that they could know is it needs to look like texture on an orange peel, and it needs to sound like tires on wet pavement. This needs to sound like, when you're doing this with a dry brush, no water, you're doing it with a dry brush. Hey Jonas, how are you? When you're doing this with a dry brush, you can hear that scratchy, right? Hey Paola, I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I'm going to need just a little more paint. And I'm going to, whoops, got it on my finger. Messy artist, that's what I am. And I've embraced it. I'm just kind of dotting the page. You see that? Dots. Not a lot of paint. And again, I'm just going to scratch. Scratch, 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 scratch. The words are still showing through, right? What is with that? Well, I'm going to show you in just a second. I'm really putting this paint on very sparingly, and here's what I'm going to do. I am going to intuitively do this, and this is a process. Intuitive painting is a process. Here's one of the things that you need to start to do if you want to intuitive paint. You need to start trusting what's way down deep on the inside, right? So we do that all the time. We have intuition all the time. Let's say that you're driving on the interstate, right? You're getting ready to come up to an exit, and something inside you, hey Suzanne, glad you're here. Something inside you says, get off at this exit. You're like, what the heck? I do that all the time. I hear this stuff inside myself. I'm like, what the heck was that just all about? But that's your intuition. You get off at the next exit instead of going the way that you usually go, and then you find out that 15 minutes later or 5 minutes later there was a massive wreck that you would have already been in. That is your intuition. That is your higher self. That's your spirit self. Your intuition will never ever steer you wrong, not even in the creative process, right? Trust yourself. Here we go. So I'm going to scratch this all back. Paola, seriously, even me doing this for as long as I've done, there are still times when I have to change lanes too. But the thing is when you learn how to do it, you learn how to recognize it. You can visit that place, but you don't have to live there. Got down this first layer. Now, here's the cool thing about this. This is so sketchy and it's so light that I put down this transparent thing and I can run my hand over it and there's nothing on my hand, right? That's the key to being able to do this. And when I do this quickly, because I'm on Facebook Live and I'm doing this in a journal, it's going to be a little different than when I paint it on canvas. So I'm just kind of feeling of it. There's hardly, nope, it's dry, right? Sometimes I put things into my artwork. This is what I called into my life, and I do that on a regular basis. It's just a piece of paper. And here's what I'm going to do. When you get this stuff to stick to a piece of paper, sometimes I put ashes in. I'm very symbolic in the things that I put in my artwork. This is another color, and this is one of my favorite colors, cobalt blue. So I'm going to paint it on the back of this. See how I'm doing that? I'm not using any glue. This is heavy body paint, and it's going to work exactly the same way. And I'm not paying much attention to if I get it on anything else, because this is not my finished artwork. Right? And here's a big thing about the creative process too. I have an art degree. And I say this a lot, and people say, you're trying to push that. No. Here's the thing. People who do not have an art degree, the intuitive painting process is so much easier for you. It's so much easier for you because you don't have that thing stuck in your head that art has to be a product and not just a process. And if you are an artist that has a lot of talent, if you're an artist that paints professionally, and this is who I'm talking, yeah, Cobalt Blue, McLean, that is my favorite, absolute favorite. Hey, Aaron. Hey, Vicky. Here's the thing. If you don't know anything about art, you are going to succeed in this process. Don't be put off because I use paint and I use markers and I doodle, and don't be put off because I sell my artwork. It does not matter. This is a process. It's not a cookie cutter artwork. This is not paint and sip. Although those things are amazing. It's not paint and sip, right? This is a process that I'm taking you through. And you do it intuitively. And you don't worry about, oh my God, does that look fine? Does it look okay? Because this is your energetic process. This is your energetic story that you are rewriting, where you are in control of your life and you are in control of your thoughts. Hey, Dwight. Hello to you too. Hey, Doug. So let me go back. Now, I've attached this because I put it down, and I'm just going to kind of go over it a little bit. Get rid of that paint. I have not dipped my brush in the water one time. I'm using a dry brush, but I really like those burnt edges a lot. Love it. I put ashes sometimes in it. Sometimes I put flower petals. I embed those. I embed all kinds of stuff. Whatever, whatever goes. Anything goes, right? Let's try this again, because there are some of you who were not on before. So we're talking about changing stories. Think about something that you're really worried about. I want to show you how this works. And I'm just giving a shout out for Jason McLean, who is my business coach, who is so amazing. Hey, Brooke. Hey, Brooke. It's so good to see you, girl. I miss you so much. I'm so glad you're here. I miss you in the classroom. I miss all of my students. Think about something that you're anxious about right now. Put it in your head. Think about it. Let it go around in your head. That never-ending continuous loop. Now, spell your last name backwards. I'm doing it too. You interrupt the pattern, right? That is a technique that's used to just interrupt the pattern of those continuous stories. It takes a little bit of work, but you can get there. Here we go. Don't you love how I just keep going back and forth? Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to give this thing a symbol. Symbols carry so much less baggage than things do, than situations do. You ever had a teacher, put this back up. You ever had a teacher say to you, there's no way in hell that you created that artwork? There is, you need to go into a vocational field. You don't need to go to college. Hey, Heidi, you don't need to do this. I don't think that you have what it takes. Or one of my painting professors, you guys, if you're watching me, I love you so much, and I still learn so much from you. I'm friends with my painting professors to this day. I had one. Now, keep in mind that I went to college as a 40-year-old with no formal art training, and all of a sudden, I'm sitting in a painting classroom, right? And I'm painting. I'm looking around. I'm looking around at the people next to me because I'm trying to emulate what they do because I didn't know what I was doing. And here I'm painting, and my painting professor comes back up next behind me, and he stops and he says, "You have a lot of passion." What does that even mean? I was crushed. I was like, oh my God. So it's like that never ending story. Oh my God, he thinks I'm a horrible painter. I'm never going to pass this class. I'm never going to, it's like those kind of stories that are just crap stories that we keep replaying to ourselves. So here's what I do in this creative process. I choose a symbol because symbols do not have the baggage that situations do, right? So what I want to rise into more in my life, and I think in the world today, especially in the last 2 weeks, I think we can all agree that what we need more of in our world, and it all begins with us, is unconditional love. Unconditional love. So here's what I'm going to do. That's the symbol that I'm going to choose to make in this journal prompt. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to show you how I do hearts. So let me decide what I'm going to do this with. And I think I'm going to do this with a paint marker. Maybe. No, I'm not. I'm just going to draw it. I'm going to draw it with a pencil. Can I see that? I don't know if y'all can see that. I'll try to make it a little heavier. Okay, so when I draw hearts, a lot of people are like, how do you draw a heart? How do you draw a heart? How do you make it good? Mine are always so wonky. What? Mine, I can't draw a heart. Here's how I do it. This is so easy. I'm going to do it upside down so y'all can see it. I'm going to do one circle. I'm going to do 2 circles, the same size. I'm going to do 3 circles. You see that? 1 circle, 2 circles, 3 circles, right? Then all you have to do is trace around the circles, and you have a heart. Can y'all see that? Let me draw it in Sharpie. I did the 1, 2, 3 circles, and then I'm just tracing around those circles, and there's a heart. That's a pretty good heart, right? It's not perfect, but it's pretty good. Now I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm just really feeling that I'm going to do another heart. I'm going to do 2 intertwining ones because I have an idea. And when you have those ideas, what you need to do is go with them, because usually your higher self, your spirit self, or the connection from the divine is trying to tell you something. And I'm just gonna do it like that. This is chicken scratch. I usually, where you sketch. I usually don't do chicken scratch, but whatever. So we've got 2 hearts right here that are going to be my symbol for unconditional love. Hey, Deidre, Leslie. Got 2 hearts here. You see how I did that? I'm going to do this one more time for you. I'm going to draw a circle, right? I'm going to draw another circle that's pretty much the same. Let's try to make them the same. And I'm really loose when I draw those, and then I'm going to draw one more. And all I have to do is trace around the contour, the outline, like a coloring book, and there's a heart. Super duper, super easy, not complicated. Anyone can succeed at this. If you can draw a circle, people tell me, I can't draw a stick person. I don't care. You don't have to draw a stick person. I'll show you how to succeed at this. You don't have to know how to draw. It's all good. All right, so I'm going to use the cobalt blue again. That's what I'm really feeling called towards, the cobalt blue. So I just put a little bit on there, and I'm going to switch my brush, although I'm still going to use a dry brush. I'm just going to kind of use this angled brush to kind of switch it around. I really like to build things up in transparent layers, and if you've seen any of my work at all, you know that I really like what's underneath to show through. And the reason for that is because it's all a part of the journey, right? It's all a part of the journey, like my tattoo here. It's a unilome. It means trust the journey. We all have different journeys, and we all need to trust our journey. Yours may not be like somebody else's. Hey, Darren Lawrence. I'm glad you are here. Dry brush. You see how I've done that? I'm going to dip my... No, I'm not going to dip my brush in. I'm going to still use a dry brush. Hey, Aaron. Oops, I just splashed some on my arm. Let's hope that this is enough. I'm not going to rinse my brush. I'm just going to keep going. This white with this angle brush, you can really get some good sharp edges in here, even with, and see this blue that's kind of blending in with it? Pfft, that doesn't even matter, because this is my symbol that I am unconditional love, and I can operate and I can choose to change lanes any time I choose. Anytime you have a choice, you can always choose lanes. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you this. I'm going to go through here and just remove a little bit of this because I want to draw back on here with a Sharpie. And here is an artist tip. If you're using a Sharpie over acrylic paint, it will work, and it will do great results as long as the paint is dry. But if you're using tempera, like the tempera that you get, you know, like the Rose Art brand, like kids paint with in elementary school, if you're using that kind of paint, tempera is made from egg yolks, right? Acrylic paint is made from like plastic polymers. And so it makes a big difference because when you're painting over tempera, the tempera paint eats into your nib of your Sharpie and it will render it useless. There's your art tip of the day. I'm going to re-outline this just a little bit. And because this is just about dry, I can do that, right? So here's why I'm doing this. So we're connected to the earth, right? We're connected, and we can ground. If you know what grounding and centering is, you can ground and center yourself down into the earth, and your consciousness can reach up and connect to the divine, whatever the divine is for you. And here you are in the middle. This is a symbol of you as unconditional love. Let's make this a diamond. Here's how I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, and I'm drawing this upside down. You see how I did those little 4 dots? I did 4 little dots. And I'm going to connect them to where it kind of looks like a diamond, like that. And then I'm going to put, I don't know, I'm just doing this, so let's hope it comes out. A couple here. And then I'm just going to kind of start drawing my facets. There we go. That's going to work. And we'll connect that, and we'll connect that. Now we've got facets of a diamond. Can you see that? Because you are the diamond space, and I am the diamond space. We have creative power, and we don't even realize it a lot of times. Hey, Chris. Hey, Eric. We have so much creative power in our lives, and we don't even realize it. The stories that we play over and over in our heads have power over us. We can be a story interrupter, and we can redeal the cards. Let me go back down here because I'm going to put a few words on here, and then we are going to be done because this is going a little long. So I do a lot of my work. Let me see if I can find one here. I like to give myself affirmations. I like to paint things. World peace, inner peace. This is a little bit more involved, and this is just a little piece of canvas. This is I rise, I transform, I live, and I grow. And you know, it's just all intuitive, and it just comes. This one, I was just feeling like I needed to live more in freedom. I am freedom. I'm freedom. So here's what I'm going to write. I'm going to write I, and I'm doing this upside down. I'm love. Is that right? No, that's backwards. L-O-V-E. Your journal entries don't ever have to be finished. Sometimes I'll journal and I'll feel a release on the inside and I stop. And then I go back maybe a few days later, maybe a week later, maybe a month later, and I realize that this was medicine for me at that moment, and I can build on that to continue to rise more of what you want to in your life. Did you know that this is scientifically proven that the same brain waves that are produced in creating artwork are the same brain waves that are used in meditation? That's why I talk about infusing energy into your painting so much, because I really believe, and I'm living proof of going through a process of healing, facing the emotions that hold you back. For all of my life, I thought I was too much, but not enough. And that held me back. It took me a year from the time, almost 2 years, from the time that I was given the vision and the desire to do this whole online thing and to connect it to the divine, connect it to spirituality, connect it to life change, to where I stepped out of fear enough to be able to do it, to process. And this is one of the things that brought me through. And all the artwork that you see behind me is my intuitive creative work. This work behind me that has the butterfly and the cocoons and all of that is when I was in a really vulnerable time in my life, and the way I worked through it was I went to my creative painting practice. Do I paint a painting every day? Nope, I don't. Sometimes I paint a painting in a day, but more than not, I learn what's going on the inside of me, and I get in tune with what's going on inside of me by doing this. And every day is not a finished product, because every day in our lives is not finished. There's always more we can learn and always more that we can do, right? I have the program coming up we start on June 21. It is the night of the new moon, when it's a great time to let go of things, to set intentions. Letting go of things is on the full moon. Starting new things is on the new moon, and we're going to start June 21. Down on this live feed, I am going to leave a link to that page. If you want more about it, there's a link there where we can get in touch with each other and find out if this is a good fit for you. I'm all about life change. I've done this for a while. I just invite you to join me. This is going to be an amazing, amazing time of discovery. I cannot guarantee that you will make $1 million from this, but I can guarantee that this will be life-changing for you. It's a life-changing process, and I'm constantly in gratitude of the magic that is this whole practice. Thank you for letting me serve you today. I'm really glad that you joined me. Check out my YouTube, Debbie Stroud. I'm on here. I have a DebbieStroud.com Facebook page. I have Debbie Stroud 65 Instagram, and my website, DebbieStroud.com. Drop me a line. I'd love to hear from you, and I love you. Mwah.